Under our module's project topic of direct-to-consumer genetic testing, our group focused on matchmaking genetic tests, and the company we researched on is called DNA Romance, which aims to generate potential matches based on DNA analysis of genes. So what is the purpose of the genetic test? The main purpose of the test is to forecast the level of chemical attraction between the candidates and other members. However, there are other things that the genetic test can identify. It can be used to look into genetic mutation and recessive diseases. The test can determine a couple's risk of passing on certain inherited disorders to their children, and this can help them make informed decisions about their fertility options and potential risks of having children together. It can also be used to predict personality compatibility, as it identifies specific genes linked to traits like extroversion or even higher levels of anxiety and stress. While these traits are shaped by a combination of lifestyle and the environmental factors that a person is in, research has shown that there is a genetic component to personality. How is the test done and the data generated? DNA collection can happen in different ways like a blood sample, but DNA Romance uses the cheek swab method. The steps are to first swab the inside of both cheeks using their DNA collection kit and then return the sample to the laboratory by mail. Next is the DNA extraction and data generation, compatibility marker identification, and then finally, matching the markers to identify partners. Data generation entails testing for the presence or absence of certain genetic markers associated with compatibility in relationships regarding personality, sexual chemistry, and other essential factors. An example of a marker is HLA, or human leukocyte antigen. This marker is involved in the immune system, and people with more dissimilar HLA are more genetically compatible. Research demonstrates that people with differing DNA markers will find each other's scent to be pleasant, and the more likely they are to have a lasting romantic relationship.
Autosomal DNA testing examines the 22 pairs of non-sex chromosomes, revealing genetic ancestry and potential relatives. It provides information about ancestry composition and identifies DNA matches, including the estimated degree of relatedness. Mitochondrial DNA, also known as mtDNA, tests the trace's maternal ancestry through a specific inherited DNA type. It shares details about maternal homologroups and potential maternal lineage matches. Y chromosomal DNA, also known as Y-DNA, testing is primarily for males and explores paternal ancestry by analyzing the Y chromosome. It offers insights into paternal haplogroups and potential paternal lineage matches. In summary, these DNA testing methods offer unique perspectives on ancestry, facilitating the discovery of genetic relatives and genealogical exploration. The DNA test will take about 3 to 4 weeks if you do not have previous DNA testing from sites like 23andMe or other DNA testing companies. Once your DNA test comes back, you will receive a file to download that will lay out your results in a user-friendly display that shows how these genes will affect your matchmaking experience in your future. The data can also show potential matches within the system that would be good for you to form a relationship with.
DNA Romance users enter raw DNA samples either via a kit purchased from their website or from other companies such as Ancestry.com, 23andMe, and so on. And the DNA Romance assesses genetic compatibility based on immune system markers, among other significant indicators they search for. While the company has a large science tab with a plethora of credible research papers and science-backed statements attesting to the accuracy of their matchmaking, raw DNA samples obtained through websites like these do not always sequence entire genomes, which means that they may not cover all genetic variations. Additionally, the developing knowledge surrounding the significance that genetic sequences are in personal romance has resulted in arguments about what role the genetics markers used and analyzed by DNA Romance play in successful human connection and compatibility. Found in DNA Romance's frequently asked questions, they state, "We care about your privacy and have several measures in place to keep your personal data secure. We follow HIPAA privacy guidelines when handling your data, and we don't sell DNA data to third parties. We encrypt all data that is stored, and the names contain a unique hash path and other obfuscating elements. Access to the data is limited to key development personnel who have a two-factor authentication restricted access.
What concerns, practical or ethical, are there with DTC genetic tests? DTC testing does not always provide conclusive results. DTC genetic testing itself does not guarantee that a consumer with a high genetic risk score will suffer from a certain disease. Most genetic tests performed by DTC testing companies are limited. Stress is a big factor in the inclusion of psychological harm, with the buildup of getting your results or with the after effects of your results. Misinformation or understanding of results. There can be misinformation when you come to meet the person of the DNA romance off the DNA romance app, and you may not be as compatible as you think, or understanding your results, seeing why you're compatible with somebody. Lack of robust scientific evidence to support the excellent compatibility. Like I said earlier, you will not be able to know if you are extremely compatible or if you are truly compatible with a person until you meet them in person, and that is just something scientific evidence cannot prove. Some fun facts about DTC genetic testing. DTC genetic testing can detect pathogenic variants in moderate risk genes. Human beings may look different, but 99% of our DNA is the same. Humans share about 50% of their genes with plants. If one person's DNA was unraveled and placed end to end, it would stretch all the way from Pluto and back. DNA Romance is a multilingual service, with some of the top consumers being the United States, Brazil, France, Spain, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Argentina, Peru, Australia, South Korea, Switzerland, and Japan. And those are just the top 15. These are some of our sources, and thank you for watching.